to. This is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
Good morning. Welcome to Houston Newsmakers, and welcome to Dr. James Douglas, former president, provost, Texas Southern University, former TSU Law School dean, the immediate past president of the NAACP. The list, I could go on, but it's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
We're going to continue to have a conversation we started here about Black History Month and the civil rights in Houston and in Texas. I'm going to talk to you about that. You are the immediate past president of the Houston chapter of the NAACP. What led you to get into this fight for civil rights?
I guess my father. My father was active in the NAACP, was active during the movement. I have no idea of how to explain my father other than he was a very active person. I asked him once, and he said, I don't know, I just did. My father was very involved with the Boy Scouts. Mm-hmm. And asked him once, how did you get from Fifth Ward? How did you get involved in the Boy Scouts? And he said, I don't know, I just got involved. So my father was just a community activist. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that made me want to follow in his footsteps.
Isn't that the way it is sometimes, too, how one seed is planted and it goes into something else? The NAACP has been known for its fight for equality in this community. What challenges have you faced in that process? You were born in '44 in Alaska, you know, segregated, I'm sure, because I looked for the pictures from schools in that area, and I didn't see anything that wasn't segregated. So you've evolved. You went a degree in math. You worked on NASA projects, went to the dean of the school at TSU, several related law degrees. How do you go from that beginning to being the head of the NAACP?
My father.
You go back to him.
It's still, people always ask me, your father must have really pushed you hard. And I always tell them no. Now I found out that he did push my other brothers and sisters, but he didn't push me. But he told me a story. And the story was of his life. Uncle Arthur grew up on a farm, wanted to go to Prairie View, got out of high school, wanted to go to Prairie View. His father kept talking him how to go into school. You know, stay this year, have me bring in the crops. My grandfather was a farmer. And so ultimately, 2 or 3 years down the road, he said, look, I might as well get started and forget about college and start my own family. And so he did. But he told us, my brothers and sisters and I, that he made a promise to himself that he was going to provide an opportunity for any of his kids to go to college. So we all went to college. He made sure of that. And so it was his, I guess, planting that seed very early in life that he always thought a college experience and a college degree was very, very important in being successful in life.
And that's served you well throughout. About the time the 60s came along, that's like in your wheelhouse. You're a young man. You were getting into you knew what was going on. So now we're in the city of Houston in the 60s. This city didn't experience the same kind of overt kind of craziness that was going on in the rest of the country.
It didn't. And I think one of the things that probably influenced me, and most people don't realize this, in the 50s, Cashmere Gardens was a white neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And my parents moved into this white neighborhood. I once asked my father, what made you decide to move into a white neighborhood? And he said, I never thought about it. Your mama found this house, liked it, and told me she wanted me to buy it, so I purchased it. So that had a lot to do with my getting involved in civil rights, because I'm living in a white neighborhood. I am about 4 blocks from Betsy Ross Elementary School. Mm. I can't go to Betsy Ross Elementary School. Not that I wanted to go, because I had started at Atherton, but I knew I couldn't go to Betsy Ross. And then to be bused to E.O. Smith Junior High School. So I mean, I experienced being bussed out of my neighborhood.
Because Betsy
black
Ross
school.
was a white school.
Betsy Ross was a white school.
Okay, so you couldn't do that. But as other cities were in the headlines with dogs and hoses and all that kind of stuff, Houston was not in that same category.
Houston was not in that same category, and I think what separated Houston was the desire to be like New York or St. Louis or Chicago or Los Angeles, all these major cities that are, according to Houston, to be a major city, you had to have professional athletic teams. And Houston wanted professional athletic teams. And they were told, if you continue segregation, we can't bring a Major League Baseball team to Houston. And so that was one of the impetus for them integrating, you know, public accommodation.
Right.
It was in order to get a Major League Baseball team and become, quote, a player in this big city United States arena.
Well, we weren't too far removed. I know in the 40s, we weren't too far removed from some of the history of the state, which is quite frankly uncomfortable to talk about as it relates to race. There were a lot of lynchings that were going on. Segregation was certainly throughout the state. That was pretty rampant. Depending on which source you look at, either the Texas Historical Association or the Chicago Tribune or the NAACP, there were between 400 and more than 600 lynchings in Texas between 1882 and 1942. It was so normalized in some places, like in Dallas, we have a picture of large crowds that came out to see lynchings. You've seen those as well. Large crowds that come out to see lynchings. This is from a guy being hung from it's Alan Brooks from the Elks sign in Dallas in 1910. People coming out dressed in their Sunday finest to come out and see that. So that shows how far we've had to come.
Cambrell, I know that I've been blessed. In 1956, at 12 years old, I'm on the farm. I spent the summers with my grandparents. So I'm on the farm. My grandmother says, "You want to go to the doctor with me?" Well, the doctor's in Livingston, which is about 13, 14 miles away. Right? We go to the doctor. I'm from Houston. All my doctors had been African American. But it turns out it's a white doctor. We get to the building. There's a sign on the front with a finger pointing to the rear that said colored. So I told my grandmother, you know, I don't sit in the back room. So
How old were you then?
12 years old.
Okay.
I don't sit in the back room. So I went and I sat in the white waiting room. And no one said anything to me. But on the way home, my grandmother said, "I can't bring you back to town." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "I can't bring you back to town." He said, "These white people don't care that you're a little boy." She said, "They will hang you." And I couldn't forgive myself, and your parents couldn't forgive me if I let these white people hang you. So you can't come back to town anymore.
Boy, the story of things and how they have evolved and how that's affected your life. We're going to continue this conversation specifically about the Houston chapter of the NAACP, some things that happened while you were in control, in the presidency there, and what's going on from this point forward. So thank you again for being here. We're going to continue our conversation on Houston Newsmakers Extra. Viewers can find that on the Newsmakers page on click2houston.com.